All right, so it is 1:00. We'll go ahead and start the July 30th special session. Roll call, please.
Mrs. A. Ayala.
Present.
Mrs. S. Ayala.
Here.
Mrs. Hines.
Here.
Mr. Coleman's.
Here.
Mrs. Leba.
Present. Please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
No audience questions. Item D, approval of the agenda.
Make a motion to approve the agenda as presented.
Second. The motion is second to approve the agenda as presented. Roll call.
Mrs. A. Ayala.
Aye.
Mrs. S. Ayala.
Aye.
Mrs. Hines.
Aye.
Mr. Coleman's.
Aye.
Mrs. Leba.
Aye. Item 2, unfinished business. So we had to table the superintendent contract, our regular meeting. Because I didn't have a hard copy to give you guys to look over. It's been kind of interesting trying to communicate limited access and the schedules aren't lining up, but we did get that out last night. I hope you had time to look at it. So if you want to have discussion, questions? No, because we're presenting it. Is it making sure everything is first before we decide to kind of like how we did the candidates, like say what you and then
Did I understand what I read? Let me just tell you what I thought I read. This is a 1-year contract, essentially. It has potential to be a 1-year contract. He has to be notified in March if they plan to continue, so he can adjust his para. Is that what I read?
oh, let me open. It should be to 2027.
It says 2027, but if you read it,
You still have to do the, so like how we had with a former superintendent, he had the 2-year contract that rolled over, but you still had to do the evaluation by March 1st, the deadline by whatever the date is in policy. And then if you're going to make any adjustments to the salary, you can do that at that time, but then it's still, so you have to, I don't know how to say it correctly, but it's still a 2-year contract, but it's reevaluated annually, which is how we've done it with Rick too. Like we've always done it in that way.
I don't ever recall notifying them in March in writing that we plan to keep the contract, and then if we don't, it terminating on June of the following year. This last, and let me tell you where I'm reading it, this second paragraph B talks about the board needing to notify the superintendent in writing on or before March 1st, 2026, that it desires for the superintendent to continue as superintendent for the schools for the 26-27 school year. Then on or before July 1, 2026, the superintendent shall suspend his para retirement benefits and continue employment with the district as a para member. That is not something we've done for anybody else. This is specific to Dr. Krumholtz regarding his status of his para. Is that what I'm understanding?
With the para, yeah, because he has the option to unretire. Is that the actual term for it?
So and I won't be here, so it won't be a me problem, but forward thinking for everyone else, if that does not occur, then essentially this is a 1-year contract. Fair? Am I understanding that properly, or?
Then the board would have to make a determination by March 1st whether to continue.
Yeah, and that is how,
Is that right?
right. But that is where we do our board evaluation. And then that's when, so if you recall the Well, that was the first time using that super eval when I was out of town. But we do the board evaluation and we go over it with the superintendent. And then at the end, then on the same, usually the same agenda, it is, we move to approve the continuance of his contract. And like, if there is an adjustment in salary, because it should say there too, like if we have a salary adjustment for staff, then he also gets the same.
It doesn't, that paragraph deals strictly with para and notifying him in writing so that he can end his para benefits.
Right. That part has to be that way for him because he's retired, so he has to be unretired. So he would probably have to have that in writing to send to para for verification that he is officially unretiring, so then he's not drawing from both.
Okay. Let's take Dr. Grumholz out of the equation because it's not personal. This is experience talking. If, and I won't be here, but food for thought for all of you, if your relationship is not jiving, then this is an opportunity where he can say, I don't want to do this. They can say, I don't want to do this. He gets a bump to his para and they separate. Correct?
I don't know what his current para allotment is, so.
So I'm not getting, I won't be getting a bump in para. I would just, you
Right.
know, I would either, so going forward, if it works the way it's supposed to,
Mhm.
I would unretire and then I will be just a regular employee after this year.
Mhm.
The timing was so I had to put the paperwork in because of how late it was. To retire, but I would unretire and then I would continue with the contract as your superintendent. That's the ultimate, that's where we're headed.
Okay.
Hold on. But also with para, it just, even if this is his highest salary that he's ever received, which I don't know that it is, that doesn't automatically bump his para. They take an average of your top highest, the 4 of your top.
And it's not a personal question. It's just a general question and he happens to be filling the seat. So I'm sorry.
You're fine.
It has nothing to do with you.
No, it's a good question, but yeah, no, they do an average, because I did ask about that. So I get what you're saying now. I'm like, no, they have to do an average of like your 4, not the 4 of the top, okay,
Top
top
three.
3. Top 3 years. And that's how they figure that. So I don't even know if this would count as one of his.
Okay, that was my line of thinking, to be like, oh, well, that's a real quick come up, I'm out. Not saying you would, and I hope that's not the route, but experience has taught me to ask.
Yeah. Yes. So I don't know if you want me to go through, I don't know do you want me to walk you through my thought process of how I came up with it, like what we came to this agreement? Because I did take everybody's input into consideration, or did you want to just comment what your thoughts are with the product that we presented?
I just like this, the question is in section A, is the 140 days, is that a result of, sorry, you're in the seat, him being retired?
Yes. So, and I think that was explained by Kristen in it. Well, I don't know if the email went to all of us or not.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. So it's still considered full-time because with the para being retired, it is a calendar year, so January to December. And then with our school year, it is July to June. And so he is considered full-time because I was having a hard time understanding that too. But then also, so he is still working full-time with a 140-day contract. And if we're going by contact hours, which is what you had brought up, then this first year he would work 1 day less, and then the next year 2 days less. But I think that it still depends on if you unretire, when you unretire.
Mhm. So, but the way I understand this is starting from August 1st, 2025 through December 31st, 2025, he can't work more than 140 days. Is that right?
Yes. 140 contract days is what he has.
And so from January 1st, 2026 until when does he, I guess, when does he max out on 140 days in 2026?
About the time that the contract that I move into the next year where, I would unretire. So it actually works.
So
Because
it's 140 days until you unretire.
say that again, sorry.
It's up for 2026. It would be 140 days max until you unretire.
Correct. For teachers, they use 110 contracts because, like, say we bring a retired teacher back in, they do 110 because the 110 is basically the amount of school days from, it covers a school year from August until, but for administrators or for someone who works full time, the 140, it is about the same.
I just want to I just want to make sure you're working more than the teachers, I guess, is my point. That's all. But if he can only work 140 days and our contact days are 141 primary and intermediate, I don't know, 143, it's on the calendar at the junior high school, that doesn't jive. But if you retire, let's say March 15th, the 140 in 2026 wouldn't be an issue.
Correct. That's why most of the times when you do bring in, like say I do bring in, with the teacher shortage, you hire a retired teacher. The reason they do the 110, but then the next year you can't do a 110 once that school year is over because you've already used all your 110 days. And so if we were to we would have to, yeah. So the next year I could bring you back in January 1 of the next year. So it's kind of hard, but they have changed it for teachers to where if it's impossible to get somebody to come in, you could file for the critical.
That's why we declare a critical shortage for teachers, bus drivers, and they did include principals and superintendents in that now. However, that only applies if you don't get qualified applicants. So.
And you wouldn't be able to do it because the 140 from January to December, you'd be, to your point, you'd have to work, you wouldn't be working the whole time.
Right.
Can I ask about the automobile allowance?
Mhm.
Why do we have that? I remember purchasing a Suburban at the time was told was going to be used to help the superintendents transport district staff and to move within the district. Is that not its purpose, or?
Yeah, I think it's mostly used for activities.
But when we purchased it, that's not what we said. We had talked about Rick taking principals and building leadership to certain trainings. It wasn't an activities purchase.
Right.
So we don't use that. He won't use that.
It's available to him. He's the superintendent. So if he wants to take it and it's available, which I'm sure if there's only one person signing it out, and your trip is, I don't want to say more important, but you would be able to bump them, but then reimburse the employee. But if, I don't know, where's the Suburban parked?
It's usually at the bus barn.
Okay.
When it's not in use, it usually sits at the bus barn. And then when it is in use, I know usually they use it for cross country because there's not very many or activities. I think sometimes teachers do take it on trainings, state or stuff like that. So it's kind of, but I think a lot of times I do see it used for activities.
So I think what the way that, and I remember what Angela was talking about is I think that we were trying to kind of apply it the same way like the city manager uses their city vehicle, because they use that for everything. And then
at the time, that's what they told us it was for. We weren't trying to make it. That's what they said.
And I do believe that that is how it was being used. And then someone that had it signed out hit a deer, and then it had to go be repaired. And it took a while. And then so it was using personal vehicle. But I think that that covers for just if he is meeting within the district and then he has to run to Rocky Ford, or then he's leaving for Springs because there's I don't know where Case is or whatever, but it's still available to him to cover costs if he's not using the Suburban. It's just been standard in the contract for all of our superintendents. Well, we've only had two, but
And then my final question, and I know it's not written in here because I bet it can't be, but no one has asked. I haven't asked. Are you planning on living within our district
Yes,
in La Junta?
yes.
Okay. And I guess my thought process behind that question is you're driving to work, from work, meetings.
I wouldn't submit mileage from your house.
Oh, no.
here. That's only when you're actually doing the superintendent distance, like, which I think that would be, I don't know, did any of our superintendents actually hit that amount, do you know?
I don't know the answer. I
Okay.
just know that, we do use the Suburban, because I use it when I take people on trainings. So we do use it for that purpose.
Mhm.
He's not always with us when we do that, but they are used that. And I know that the superintendents are constantly at schools and driving back and forth and stuff.
Yeah.
And so I think that's what that was intended for.
Mhm.
Just making sure I asked all the things. Well done.
Yay.
In the technology piece, we provide
The computer, but he will use his own cell phone. So he's not carrying two phones. That one we just kind of went back and forth on, and then we dropped it down from 250 to 1 because we were talking about cell phone costs and like the different cell plans. And I know the previous superintendent, we had that in there because he wanted to use his own things. So we were compensating like what he spends on that. But when we had our discussion, it was like, well, for a family plan, he pays that was what 250 about, and it was like, well, we're not trying to pay
Yeah,
for your
exactly.
we're not trying to pay for your family, we're trying to pay to compensate for you. So we like split the difference sort of. So still allowing it, but only for his phone.
Yeah, because I'll use district, everything will be district.
Mhm.
And it was what we talked about was it's either we buy a district phone, which is gonna be about the same as just using my phone. I'd prefer to use one, but like I told you, I'm good either way.
Yeah. Well, and then we went into that discussion of like, it's not necessary to forward your office phone to your personal cell phone. But then also, if we provide this piece, then I didn't say this part, but like, Richie shouldn't have to send the sheriff to knock on the door for you to answer the phone. That's where I was thinking when I came up with that, but he was like, he'll be available.
Well, and we joked, I'm a deep sleeper, but my wife will hear the phone.
Yeah.
Do we have
and I know it's not in there, but do we have a time frame that you'll be in the district, like moving here, living here? And again, I'm sorry, it's you, but experience has taught me that sometimes people want to commute from far away to come and do the job and then leave early. I'm just making sure that even if not in writing, that all of the people at this table have a clear understanding of what that looks like.
So we have plans that we're looking at. My wife and I have been kind of looking around for houses, been getting ours on the market and selling it. Worst case scenario, if we don't find what we want, my sister-in-law owns a house in Lahana, Lewis. And so her renter is going to be leaving in October. That will be the worst case scenario, is we will live there until we're able to buy a house. But our plan is to buy a house, but my son's going to be coming his senior year here. So he's a wrestler. So we have to have him I met with the athletic director. We have to have him in the area. So he's eligible, has to be within the city limit. So as long as we're in there by October, that is the plan. And then we're going to continue to find a house. I mean, I get it. The market, and so we want to, we've got to sell ours first and then find something that we really like. Because my wife this is our forever home, so we want to make sure we get the right one. But we do have a plan though. And right now everybody thinks that the homes are so expensive. It's right.
Thank you. Just for enlightening me.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
And we got you on record now.
The method to the madness.
I got it.
Those were all my questions. Thank you.
You're
Although I kind of like living with my mother-in-law right now because she has breakfast for me before I leave. I tell Christina yesterday, like, you've never cooked me breakfast before. On the record.
And then don't even.
No, I was like, does anybody else have any other questions?
Just have two clarifying questions, and even a little. I don't have quite as much as experience as Director Ayala over there, but I just want to clarify that if we were to terminate his contract, the maximum amount we'd be on the hook is 6 months.
And we have to, sorry, it's lunchtime. We have to make a resolution to reallocate those funds for that purpose.
And one last thing, Section 9, and again, you just happen to be in the seat. I'm not familiar with that. Cool. Seems like a lot of power for one person to have. And again, you're just in the seat.
I think I just left it because that was part of because it's from that part down, it was like a standard contract lingo. And then I think I didn't adjust it because we didn't operate that way anyway. But
It should be everybody and not one person, right?
yeah, but I also think that before you get to this part, there has to have been an executive session and a discussion and like.
It's not an action because you do it in executive session, right? You discuss it.
Yeah, we would have to have the discussion. I guess I didn't take this as something that the board president could do unilaterally, but I mean, the wording is that way, but that's not how
Because it's not something when you come out of executive session that you vote on. It's
No,
not like the board as a whole is doing it. So
No.
it has
No.
to come from that singular person, correct?
But it should
But
be
I
a directive
think-
of the board.
Right.
right,
Right,
but I
right.
think that is kind of what transpired before when the two of you came to central office. I just wasn't the one.
Right.
But that's not how it reads. So, I mean, with an understanding of how we've operated thus far, that works out fine. But if the board changes later and somebody really digs into what I can and can't do, that reads unilaterally.
That's the way I read it. I mean, somebody decided they were having a bad day. I
I would hope that would not be the
No,
way.
no,
I know, I don't like to like think somebody would do that, but better safe, I don't know. Maybe I'm.
But you can't- Well, you can't just, I can't just go in and be like, okay, well, I don't like you today because you have a goatee and why? And then by myself come up with and just scribble and say that that's the reason that he's gonna be suspended. It has to follow policy. Like, there has to be policy. So if there is a complaint that is it would be under section C of those policies, that's what the superintendent has to follow. So if there is a policy violation or there is a legal violation, which in policies means that there has to be an investigation, then they would be put on suspension. So if it's voluntary, then I don't know why I pronounced it that way. If it's voluntary, then it's it's leave with pay or suspension with pay. But if it's not, and then they have to be on in the previous situation, then it would be without pay while the investigation is being conducted. Either way, what is your suggestion for rewording? If this is not okay with you. What I'm saying is you have to follow policy. You can't just do it. Right.
I hear you. I agree, but that's not what it says.
Okay, what is your suggestion that we change it
It's
to?
gotta follow policy at least, or quote the policy that you just referenced.
Well, that would depend on what the issue is. Like, what is the complaint? Do we have something that is from an employee? Is it from personnel? Like on his, is he embezzling? Like, there has to be, you cannot just,
Where does it say you cannot just, where does it say that the
in all of
board?
our policies, everything that we do has to follow policy. Everything that the superintendent does has to follow policy. It is his job to implement the policy and make sure everybody else in the district does. So,
So what I'm hearing is if you just walked in one day and told him, hey, I'm suspending you because I don't like your haircut. You're not following policy, so he can basically tell you to kick rocks.
yes,
Because we're not following policy on putting him on suspension.
right.
So there has to be a policy violation. We do the executive session as a board. And then come out of executive session and then the board president goes and does whatever it is the board has said that they would like to do.
And by the time that you get to this part, there would already be an executive session with legal. Right. Because then there would be that protection and intermediary.
The three of you have to have a firm grasp on that. If it's clear with you, then
These are.
then vote for conscience.
It's clear with me.
Okay.
Oh, yeah.
Did you? Sorry.
No, I'm good.
Stacy? Microphone holds.
Any questions?
Right. I would entertain a motion.
Make a motion to approve the superintendent's contract as presented.
Second.
Motion and a second to approve the superintendent contract as presented for Dr. Crumple. Any other further questions, comments, or discussion?
I'm glad you're here.
The one thing I would like to say is I've talked to some of you, but I'm excited. Thank you for this opportunity, and I look forward to making a very positive difference in our community in this district.
It'll be good.
Yep. I gotta get some tired here.
Yeah.
Roll call, please.
Mrs. A. Ayala,
Aye.
Mrs. S. Ayala,
Aye.
Mrs. Hines,
Aye.
Mr. Coleman,
Aye.
Mrs. Leyland.
Aye. Board comments. Well, you want to sign this now, then I'll say welcome to.
Let's do it.
And then, yeah, you need some tiger gear. You'll need some tiger gear. And then,